Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. We are into the month of June. Interesting news is that in the month of June there are only 3 of the 4 weeks available. So we have the 13th, we have the 6th, the 13th, and the 27th. The 20th went MIA on us. Anyway, so these will be up today. Hopefully, my goal is to get through at least August, if not September, today, and then finish off the year tomorrow. That's the goal. Hopefully, I can hit the goal depending on what work holds. Ultimate Warrior against Big Bear Khali. I assume this is Randy Khali of the original Demolition. I don't know that because I haven't seen enough of his work outside of the Demolition. I haven't actually seen virtually any of his work, honestly. So I don't know that, but I'm assuming so. Someone can comment in the comments and correct me for being a bad fan of when I wasn't even a fan yet. Anyhow, so Ultimate Warrior, obviously, or Dingo Warrior still, hits some strikes, hits a body slam. Amazing that literally this match is super short, and yet the Warrior is pretty blown up. I think he leaves. I want to say he starts with WWF in August of '87, and so I think he leaves within the next month or so. Anyway, crossbody by the Warrior, and that is what it is as far as that's concerned. Armbar and really basics by the Warrior. He hits some chops. He hits some basic stuff. Manages to splash himself in the corner, which I found funny because I have a sense of humor that's kind of bizarre. Anyway, hard kick by the Warrior, and then we kind of see the Irish Whip, back elbow. Warrior really goes longer in this match than I imagined him to. There was a point where I wondered, after being in the ring with him for several minutes, if they were going to finish on a back elbow. They did not. Warrior ends up hooking on a bear hug and, kind of manages to win a match with a bear hug, which is just bizarre to me. Brian Adias and Eric Emery versus Skip Young and Al Madrill. Of course, Madrill turning babyface a few weeks before this, turning on Adias, which is interesting. Eric Emery, as mentioned before, does end up taking over the book toward the end of the promotion. Actually, the transition into the USWA is because Emery leads the angle. Irish Whip and reversal by Skip Young. Young with a head scissors takeover. Adias ends up being much more of a talent than I originally imagined him to be when I started this journey. Speaking of the journey, everything from 1982 through 88 will be up by the end. And I think this is the only audio series for World Class that I know of complete, or as close to complete as is available. So I'm proud of that. Anyway, Madrill hits a series of punches. Adias and Madrill they do square off, but it's a little bit less than your average, so that's there. Skip Young, of course, a former tag team champion in the area. We see a diving headbutt by Emery. They cut off the ring on Skip for several minutes. Shots by Madrill and Adias don't get settled here, but they do kind of continue going through, so that's there. In any event, kind of that match continues onward, and it's a very basic tag match. It's amazing to me. They are moving more towards being a highlight package show. This starts this month and continues through the summer. I think they were trying to do a little bit less with the actual in-ring action, but we do end up seeing Madrill get beaten and cheating abound. Then we move on to a recap of the Ric Flair, Kerry Von Erich match from the Texas Stadium in '84. Nothing of note there. They're just trying to hype Kerry for a return in the summer. I mean, I think he's out of the action for almost a year. Kevin Von Erich hops on a plane to go to Japan to face Antonio Inoki and others. Talks about wanting to be the best champion possible. Talks about loving the Japanese culture and how Japan is big in wrestling by this point. And it's amazing to me that New Japan Pro Wrestling still around today. Is seen as a really, really big deal. And then we move to Ted Orsini versus Matt Bourne. Ted Orsini, managed by Percy Pringle. Orsini, a guy who does show up in the WWF for a while, has an amazing body. Think a really stocky version of Hercules Hernandez. If you've never seen him before, he does. I don't think it was this one, but they do a personality profile on him in the weeks to come. They show him powerlifting. He's basically an Italian version of like a Mark Henry, super powerlifter. Bad wrestler though, does have power. Hits some knee lifts and a military press into the corner. Poor Matt Bourne. Looks like he just about died in this position. Anyway, we kind of go there, shot across the back, and Percy Pringle very happy with his investment, or at least feigning to be. German suplex released by Bourne, and I did not expect that to come from Matt Bourne. 2 count, and Bourne gets sent over the bottom rope and out to the floor. That's how aggressive it was. Then we see Orsini, take a shot at Matt Bourne, and manages to kind of get a little angry at things, and we also see Percy Pringle get involved and Bourne get even on him. Then we move to the, I guess, semi-main event segment. This is a new segment, Fritz Scrapbook. He talks about the goings-on of World Class. All I can figure is that they were trying to get the Von Erich name back out there to a greater degree. He spends a few minutes, probably 3 to 5 minutes, talking about the history of the Iron Claw, how the hold is applied. They show some black and white footage from what I'm guessing is the 1950s, detailing his use of the hold and how the hold is something that he, invented. The development of the hold, really an interesting segment if you're into storyline origin of wrestling holds. Not so if you're not. Gary Hart presents Al Perez out next. Perez and Steve Simpson is your main event. Perez works over the arm for several minutes, kind of gets a hammerlock and continues going to town. Gets a lot out of it. I mean, they work the armbar hammerlock for 3 or 4 minutes in this match, which in a main event match, I don't know that that's the way you go. We do see a power slam, almost a release power slam more accurately, by Perez, and the drop of the knee. Perez has a little bit of difficulty. Simpson manages to come back for a minute. Gary Hart, though, not willing to let his man get beat up forever. Doesn't necessarily interfere, but gets ready to just in case. A pull of the tights on an O'Connell roll. 1, 2, 3. Victory for Perez as we close the first week in June. We'll be back with more right after this.